أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم صلاة والسلام عليك يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وصحابك يا حبيب الله صلاة والسلام عليك يا سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آلك وصحابك يا خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته to all the Muslims and prayers of guidance for non-believers. Today we are going to learn about Imaan and Kufr, faith and unbelief. This presentation will include the definitions of Imaan and Kufr, belief about Imaan and Kufr, and also the Sharia laws about the application of Imaan and Kufr to a person. Imaan, true faith, means accept with the heart all those Zurriyat Deen, that is, essentials and fundamental principles of Deen. This must be accepted without any doubt or reservation. Any Muslim who does not accept these principles of faith is no longer a Muslim. A Muslim who lives in a normal community has to be aware of the fundamental necessities of Islam. To reject any of the essential and fundamental principles of Deen is known as Kufr, infidelity and unbelief, even if one accepts all the other essentials and fundamental principles of Deen. Zurriyat Deen. The essentials and fundamental principles of Deen refer to those issues or laws which are well known by both the Muslim layman and the people of knowledge as well. In other words, to believe in the oneness of Allah, the nubuwwah of prophets, Jannat, Jahannam, resurrection and the reckoning, etc. For example, one must believe that the Prophet Mohammed sallallahu alaihi wasallam is Khatamun Nabiyyin, and that no new Nabi will ever be born after Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam. Layman or a common person here refer to those Muslims who are not amongst the ulama but do keep the company of ulama and have the enthusiasm to acquire knowledge of Deen. This does not refer to those who live in mountains and isolated jungles, etc., and who are completely disconnected from civilization, and those who are not even able to recite the kalima correctly. It must be noted that this refers to communities that are totally distant from civilization, meaning that none from other communities is able to go to them, and none from their community is able to go to another place to attain proper knowledge of Deen. However, the minimum requirement is that they should believe in all the essentials of Deen in essence, without rejecting any of the essential and fundamental principles. However, by such people being unaware of the essential and fundamental principles of Deen does not make it non-essential in any way. Here, for them to remain Muslim, it is necessary for them to abstain from the rejection of any one of the essential and fundamental principles of Deen. They should have this belief that whatever is in Islam is haq, the truth. They should believe in everything in essence. Now we are going to discuss the beliefs about Iman and Kufr. Number 1. True Iman is the sincere conviction from the depth of the heart. The physical actions are not actually regarded as being a component of Iman. As for the issue of declaration of Iman verbally, then if after accepting and affirming Islam and due to circumstances a person does not get sufficient time to declare it verbally, then he is regarded in the court of Allah as believer. This ruling applies to a person who secretively accepted Islam, but because he did not declare his Iman, he cannot be regarded as a Muslim. But since he had already secretively accepted Islam and Allah is aware of him secretly accepting Islam in his heart, he will be regarded in the sight of Allah as a believer. If he had the time to declare his Iman verbally, but he abstained from doing so even after being requested to, then he is regarded an unbeliever, and if he was not asked to declare his Iman, then according to the laws of this world, he will be regarded as a kafir. Neither will his janaza namaz be performed, and nor will be buried in the Muslim cemetery. However, in the sight of Allah, he is regarded as a believer on condition that he did not do anything contrary to Islam. Belief number 2. To be regarded a Muslim, it is also a condition not to verbally reject anything which is from amongst the essential and fundamental principles of Deen. Even though one may affirm all the other essentials and fundamental principles by saying that he is only rejecting it verbally but believes in his heart, a Muslim can never utter words of kufr. Only one who harbors such thoughts in his heart and says whatever he pleases, whenever he pleases, will utter such words of kufr. Iman is such a firm conviction that it has no room for denial and dispute. Here we are going to discuss a Sharia law, that is, if Allah forbid a person were forced into uttering words of kufr, like when his life is threatened and then one threatening him says that he will cut off his limbs, etc., and one is completely sure that his threat is genuine, then in these circumstances he is given room for maneuver. However, in his heart he should still have the same conviction of Iman as before, and it should actually be even stronger now. However, it is more virtuous for him to be killed rather than uttering words of kufr. Law 2. One's physical actions are not included in the actual category of Iman. There are certain actions which are absolutely contrary to Iman and when done will cause the doer to be declared a kafir. Some examples of those actions are to make sajda to idols, the sun or the moon, to kill a prophet, to use words of blasphemy against a prophet, to disrespect the Kaaba Sharif or the Holy Quran, to regard any sunnah as not being important. All the mentioned actions are undoubtedly regarded as being kufr. Similarly, there are certain practices which are regarded as signs of kufr, such as wearing a zunar, belt or girdle worn by Jews or Christians as sign of recognition, growing a choti, bunch of hair grown on the back of the head by Hindus, applying kashka, the mark made on forehead by Hindus, indicating their convictions. The fuqaha jurists have declared those liable for such actions as unbelievers, since these actions are regarded as being kufr, and the one charged with this will be ordered to accept Islam again by reciting his kalima, and if he is married, he will be ordered to renew his nikah. Belief 3. To regard any halal, legitimate, lawful thing which has been proven from nass-e qat'i, that is in the light of Quran and Hadith, to be haram, and to regard any established haram, illegitimate or forbidden thing to be regarded as halal is kufr. This is on condition that the command is related to the essentials and fundamental principles of Deen, or if the one who is rejecting it is well aware of the absolute injunction. Law 3. Taqleed is not permissible in usul-e-aqaid, that is principles of faith. Faith must not be based merely on emulation. It must rather be firmly embedded in a conviction rooted deep in the heart. No matter what the source of this conviction may be, no particular techniques or arguments is required for attaining this deep and unwavering conviction. However, taqleed is permitted in certain practical aspects related to certain branches of faith. It is for this reason that there are two basic groups even in the Ahl Sunnah. One, Maturidiyya, in other words, those who prescribe to the school of thought of Imam Ilm al-Huda, Hazrat Abu Mansur Maturidi. Number 2, Ashariya, in other words, those who prescribe to the school of thought of Hazrat Imam Sheikh Abdul Hasan Ashari. Both these Jamaats are proper branches of Ahl Sunnah wa Jamaat, and both are on haq, that is the truth, the true path. They do not differ in principal beliefs. The difference of opinion between them is only in regards of certain issues related to branches of Deen, which is similar to the difference of opinion that is found between Hanafis and Shafis, who are both on haq. Neither one of them declares the other as misguided or astray. 4. There is no scope for any depletion or addition in Iman. Depletion or addition only takes place in something that can be measured or counted, that is something that has a form, shape, height, width. Iman is an affirmation of conviction, and an affirmation is in reality a condition portraying submission. Those verses of Holy Quran which have discussed the issue of Iman being increased and decreased does not imply any increase in the intensity of value of Iman, but rather it signifies that in which one has brought Iman and length, etc. And all of this is foreign to Iman, and this is regarded to which one has affirmed. Because in the period when the Holy Quran was being revealed, there was no fixed time for this. As and when the verse of Quran were revealed, it became necessary for the people to bring Iman in the commands which were being revealed. It does not mean that fundamental nature of Iman increased or decreased. However, there is a variation in the strength and weakness of Iman of every individual. For example, the Iman of Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq is regarded as being stronger than the Iman of entire Ummah put together. In other words, Iman of someone can be stronger or weaker than that of others, meaning one has stronger or weaker faith than another. A perfect example of this is that which has been mentioned above in regards to the Iman of Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Belief 4. There is no relation between Iman and Kufr. A person is either regarded a Muslim or a Kafir. There is no third category, whereby a person is regarded neither a Musliman nor a Kafir. Law 5. Nifaq, hypocrisy, in other words, to verbally declare Islam yet reject it in the heart, is also simply kufr, rejection of faith. The lowest level of hell has been prepared for such people. There were also such hypocrites in the blessed era of the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alaihi wasallam. The Holy Quran exposed their hypocrisy, and the Prophet recognized each one of them individually by way of his vast knowledge, declaring them munafiqs, hypocrites. Today we cannot label a person a munafiq absolutely if he announces Islam and does not explicitly go against any principles of faith. We will regard such a person a believer until such time that his practices or statements which are contrary to Iman becomes evident. However, there is a category of nifaq which is even found nowadays, whereby many mazhabs, misguided and corrupt sects refer to themselves as Muslims, yet it is found that even though they claim to be Muslims, they reject certain essentials and fundamental principles of deen. Belief 5. Shirk, polytheism, means to believe in anyone other than Allah as being wajibul wujud and worthy of worship. In other words, associating any partners to Allah. This is the worst form of kufr. With the exception of this, no matter how serious any other kufr may be, it will not amount to shirk, polytheism, in reality. It is for this reason that the Holy Quran made a clear distinction in regards to the rules related to mushrikeen, polytheists, and the rules related to Ahl Kitab, people of the book. The Zabiha, animal sacrifice by a Kitabi person of book, is thus regarded as halal, and that of a mushrik is regarded as carrion. Nikah with a Kitabi female is permitted, whereas Nikah with a mushrik is not. According to Imam Shafi, collection of jizya, tax from a Kitabi, is allowed, whereas collection of jizya from a mushrik is disallowed. In certain instances, the word shirk is used to imply absolute kufr. The command of Quran is that no shirk will be forgiven is actually in this context. In other words, that in actuality no type of kufr will be pardoned with the exception of shirk and kufr. Almighty Allah through His mercy may forgive any other sin He wills. Belief 6. One who is charged with committing kabira, a major sin, is still regarded a Muslim and will enter Jannah. This is either through the grace of Allah or by virtue of the intercession of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or after being punished for some of his sins thereafter. He shall never be evicted from Jannah. Law 6. Any person who makes dua maghfirat for a kafir after his death and refers to a dead murtad apostate as marhum or maghfur, or refers to a dead Hindu as a heavenly soul, is himself a kafir. Belief 7. It is from amongst the essentials and fundamental principles of deen to regard a Muslim and a kafir, even if one is not definite in regards to whether a particular individual died as a Muslim or, Allah forbid, a kafir, until such time that his condition at the time of death is not established in the light of evidence from the Sharia. This, however, does not mean that one should doubt the kufr of any person who has definitely committed kufr, because to doubt the kufr of an absolute kafir also causes one to become a kafir. This issue regarding whether a person really died a believer or unbeliever will be established on the day of Qiyamah, but the law of Sharia is based on that which is apparent. This can be better understood by the following example. If an unbeliever such as a Jew, Christian or idol worshipper dies, one cannot say with complete conviction that he died as an unbeliever, but the command of Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam is that we should regard him as an unbeliever. We will deal with him in his lifetime and after his death in the manner that has been stipulated for an unbeliever. In other words, in the issue of association with him, wedding, marriage and his funeral prayers and shrouding and burial, etc. If he has committed kufr, then it is further obligatory upon us to regard him a kafir. We should leave the issue of his actual condition at the time of death to divine knowledge of Allah. Similarly is the ruling of a person who is apparently a Muslim and whose action and statement do not contradict Iman in any way. It is fair for us to regard such a person as a Muslim even though we are unaware of the actual condition of his Iman at the time of his death. Nowadays, there are those who say in the amount of time you spend calling him a kafir, it is better you spend it in the remembrance of Allah, as this is deserving of reward. In response to this, it must be said, where do you find us compelling people to chant kafir, kafir all day long? The actual aim of what we are saying is that a kafir should be regarded as a kafir, and if asked regarding such a person, it should be clearly declared that he is a kafir. This does not mean that you should hide his kufr by way of your sulah kul, corrupt, compromising policy. The source of the presentation is the book Bahaar-e-Shariat, volume 1 and 2, compiled by Qadi Sadrush Sharia Hazrat Allama Maulana Mufti Mohammed Amjad Ali Aazmi Razvi, translated into English through the blessings of Ghawsul Waqt Huzur Mufti Azam Hind by a humble servant of Allah, Muhammad Afthab Cassim al-Qaadiri Razvi Noori, published for free distribution by IMAM Mustafa RAZA Research Center, Overport, Durban, South Africa. At the end, I would request to the listeners to pray from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He bless us with the knowledge and understanding of Islam, all its essentials and fundamentals, the principles of Sharia, and bless us with the knowledge and understanding of the true beliefs of Islam and to follow them, and follow the right path to Jannah. Ameen Ya Rabbul Alameen. Bijahi Khatamul Anbiya'i wal Mursaleen. Sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sahabihi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.